From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, happy Tuesday morning to you. It's October 1st. Can you believe it, already in October here? For those of you in a hurry, let's get you right through Kruger's Quickcast, and we're going to get you out the door this morning first and foremost again for this October 1st. A mild start to the day. Temperatures mid-60s in the valley. Looks like in the upper 40s to even some low 50s for some of the higher elevations and even for the coast. Now, there is a heat advisory that the National Weather Service has issued. Now, some of you might be saying, come on, it's not that bad, it's hot. But we have to remember there are people who don't have access to air conditioning and even cold water. So those are the people that are most susceptible to this heat that we'll be experiencing for the next few days. It can be in effect until 11 p.m. on Wednesday. Temperatures are expected to be over 100 degrees. So we're in that moderate heat risk. A lot of the oranges indicating that moderate heat risk. And again, it affects most people sensitive to heat, especially without proper cooling and or hydration. Now you can see some of the foothills are expected to be in that major category because, again, even though it's not going to be hotter there, it's just typically this time of the year it's not as hot. And you can see we're going to see a slight drop, but overall still mainly in that moderate range here for your Wednesday. Look at the high temperatures we saw out there yesterday. As expected, we were mainly below 100 degrees in the valley yesterday, with the exception of Red Bluff. But for the most part, I mean, really, we were just shy by a degree or two. And of course, in the higher elevations, definitely not as warm. All right, so we look at the temperatures out there for today. And yeah, I think most of us in the valley are going to be at the very least 98, 99, but most likely over 100 degrees in most cases. We take you into the higher elevations, we're talking 80s and 90s, and for the coast in the upper 60s, maybe even some low 70s for some of those warmer spots along the coast. So looking at your 7-day outlook, again, another hot day for your Wednesday. Today and tomorrow is the peak. Temperatures will just gradually drop, but I mean, we're not seeing a very big drop. We're going from 102 to 96 at the coolest for Redding, right? And for Chico, probably the coolest at 94 degrees. So still well above normal, despite the fact that temperatures are dropping. We take a look at the coast. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s for the next 7 days. Inland, again, the peak is mainly today, but temperatures do start to drop as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Taking a look at the mountains, not nearly as hot here either, but again, the peak is today and tomorrow. It looks like upper 80s, even some low 90s in there, but then eventually dropping down into the low 80s, especially by the second half of the weekend and early next week. All right, that's your quick cast. Hope you have yourselves a great day. For those of you that want more detail, hey, stick around. We've got a lot more in the forecast here to kind of give you the full story behind the forecast, though. So the heat advisory, as we mentioned earlier, that's for the valley and foothills through, that should actually say Wednesday. All right, you'll have to apologize. I apologize. That should say Wednesday, not Tuesday. Now, we do have a gradual drop in the temperatures here, but it will still be hot with highs closer to normal near the middle of next week. Now, it is looking fairly dry in the long range as well. As we go out the next 2 weeks, none of the long range forecast models are indicating any rain anytime soon. Now, remember, the winds were certainly a factor yesterday in some cases here. Still a bit on the breezy side for some of us this morning in the valley and even the surrounding foothills. But by around the noon and afternoon hours, the wind should subside, but still a little bit on the breezy side for some of those eastern mountain locations. For your Wednesday, it looks like the wind's no longer really a factor. So it's just going to be along the coast here, a little breezy here and a little breezy off in the eastern mountains, and still very dry out there. So it's the hot and dry conditions that we've got to be mostly concerned about here over the next few days. So yes, elevated fire danger as a result, just not as high as it would be if we had those winds a bit stronger out there. So there you can see today at 3 p.m. we're in that moderate to high range here, especially on the east side of the valley. And again, it's not mainly because of the winds, it's because of the heat and dry conditions. You can see it's not going to be quite as bad going into your Wednesday, but still, again, bottom line, hot and dry, elevated fire risk. Okay, so what we've got here is this broad ridge of high pressure that's kind of moving in. Take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. We're kind of getting that time of the year. We're seeing snow off into Canada. So yes, we are getting into October. We have to remember that we are in fall. And it's hard to remember that when we're dealing with temperatures well above normal for this time of the year, in the triple digits in the valley, right? But there is colder air up there. It's just not moving anywhere near us, right? So let's take a look at Futurecast. And, it's looking sunny, even for the coast here through the day today. That fog bank is working its way closer. And I do expect that by tomorrow morning, there will be some fog along parts of the coast here, in particular Humboldt County, around Eureka, Humboldt Bay. That will quickly evaporate, though, as we go to the noon and afternoon hour on Wednesday. And it looks like your Thursday, we'll be looking at clear skies to even start off the day, and sunny skies even for the coast here for your Thursday afternoon. But still looking at drier than normal conditions for Northern California. Now we do have this broad ridge of high pressure I was talking about, but it's not a prominent ridge, but strong enough to give us those hot temperatures and, of course, the heat advisory for the valley and the surrounding foothills. It weakens a little bit for Wednesday, but that ridge is still pretty much prominent and in place. Then we start to see this colder air kind of ride up to our north here. Now what that's going to do is help to squash that heat down a little bit, and our temperatures do drop, but slightly. This is why we're talking about a gradual drop in our temperatures for the rest of the week, because the ridge is still in place and these storm systems are riding to our north, but they're just kind of battling it out. And for the most part, the heat is still winning out. Now you can see this big trough of low pressure right here this weekend. That's still way off to our north and west. Meanwhile, we still got the ridge of high pressure in place. Now that big trough of low pressure that is just going to pretty much sit and spin way off to our north and west, and in the meantime, the heat stays in place. And any rain and snow that's associated with this storm system stays well to our north and west through the middle of next week. So we look at our temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, still within this big area of warmer than normal temperatures for pretty much the entire western United States. So we look at that 10-day trend here, and the peak is today and tomorrow for the valley. But temperatures just kind of ticking their way downwards slowly. But the normal high is around 87 degrees in the valley. So we're still at least close to 10 degrees above normal, even as we go through next week into that next week, and even as we go through the rest of this week, through this weekend, and into next week as well. We're beginning to see signs of some cooler air moving in as we get into day 9 and day 10 around Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Not guaranteed, but at least some hope, some relief in sight possibly. Taking a look at those wave heights for 5 o'clock today. Again, not bad along the immediate coast here. It looks like those wave heights will start to increase though, especially as we go into your Wednesday, even for the immediate coast. So as a result, there actually is a small corrective advisory, but that won't take effect until this evening. So looks like everything should be okay up until that point. So we're eventually going to see those winds get up to 10 to 15 knots today, and eventually seeing those waves get up to about 5 feet at about 8 seconds. All right, so let's take a look at your neighborhood forecast for Trinity County. You can see it's warming up out there. 100 Weaverville, Douglas City 102, Hayfork about 99, and Trinity Center high of about 96. For central, southern Humboldt County, temperatures warming up inland with 101 for Garberville, 99 for Alder Point. Shelter Cove even getting pretty warm, close to 80 degrees there. We take you up north with about 101 for Orleans, 100 in Hoopa, Willow Creek 102, 97 for Gas Key, and there's Smith River with a high of about 82 degrees. Those temperatures are going to be hovering around the mid to upper 90s here for Wednesday, Thursday, eventually dropping down to the low 90s by Friday and Saturday. Let's take a look at your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. You can see those temperatures are going to be the mid to upper 80s for places like Weed and Gazelle. But there you can see around Happy Camp about 97, Hornbrook 92, and it looks like Fort Jones and Etna right around that 90-degree mark. Let's take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures today about 87 for Alturas, 84 for Cedarville, 83 degrees for Tule Lake, and Aden about 85 degrees. And taking you southward in the eastern mountains, 83 for Westwood, 94 for Greenville, Quincy about 95, and you can see Paradise topping out at about 95 degrees. And your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamith Painting. Temperatures most likely at least 100 degrees for the most part. Some areas may just dodge that 100 degree mark for places like Durham, Biggs, and Gridley, but otherwise at least 100 degrees for most of us. 98 though for Lakehead, 98 for Whiskeytown, 102 for the city of Shasta Lake and Redding, and about 103 out in Anderson. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. We're eventually down to the mid to upper 90s for Thursday, Friday, and really keeping it in the mid to upper 90s here for Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday of next week. That is your morning update. I'll be back at noon with your latest forecast.
Barr & Mudford is a top, established firm here in the North State. Founded over a half-century ago, Barr & Mudford is protecting the rights of our neighbors and community. We take our commitment to our clients very seriously and provide a level of excellence unrivaled in the North State. Barr & Mudford, standing up for the rights of our neighbors and our beautiful community, serving Northern California with excellence.